In the days leading up to his arrest in New York last September.
You want to put stuff in my fanny pack, King?
The exclusive video obtained by Netflix shows Combs debating with his lawyers about strategy.
Listen to me. I'm going to get off the phone right now, and I am going to let you professionals look at the situation and come back to me with a solution. No matter what, no matter what nobody said. Let's just, here and there, y'all are not working together the right way. We're losing.
The footage is part of a new, highly anticipated docuseries by director Alex Stapleton and rapper and executive producer Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, titled Sean Combs, The Reckoning. Was there anything that surprised you when you were watching?
I think it was surprising that he actually filmed it.
It was very interesting to watch a man who's known for his brand presence. You know, he has a really amazing knack for marketing and all of that, and how he was sort of taking that into account and how he was coming off to the...
50 Cent just dropped never-before-seen footage of Sean Diddy Combs in his Netflix documentary, and the moment it hit the platform, Diddy went into full panic mode, trying to shut the whole thing down. New information about his alleged crimes is leaking everywhere.
So let's start at the top with the hotel video, which I did a double take because I thought, wait a minute, isn't this Fiddy's documentary? What is he doing with video from inside Diddy's hotel room, which clearly looks to be sanctioned by Diddy? It almost looks like Diddy was shooting a documentary. He thought this whole thing might go away and just wanted to have some really good content for afterwards. How the hell did this video get in the hands of 50 Cent, the arch nemesis of Diddy?
Well, I think it was delivered legally, supposedly what they're saying. I think what happened was that when he did this video in the hotel, he was probably thinking that he was going to probably be acquitted and he was going to probably get out, and he could probably run back his last days that before he got arrested, so he can use that for some footage later on. But it sort of backfired on him because now I don't think he wanted it to get out. And plus, he's in an appeal process right now where he's trying to get out from under this. He's still appealing his case, and this sort of brings back old memories, you know?
Let me ask you this, Derek. Somebody real close to Diddy was holding that camera, because Diddy didn't have people in his inner circle, in his hotel room, saying things like this, unless they were close to him. And yet, whoever owns that copyright, whoever had their hands on that video, did him dirty, you know, and gave it to his enemy. Why and how do you think that happened?
Well, I think the person that probably did the video footage wanted to get some recognition for having that type of footage. And I think, I don't know if they signed a no-compete clause or an NDA, but that person turned that over apparently, and it went to 50 for the documentary, which he used.
And what's even wilder is the growing claim that his own mother might have been behind the scenes guiding him and shaping every move he ever made. People are now saying Janice could be the real reason Diddy turned into the figure we're seeing today, and the documentary does not hold back at all. Netflix released its 4-part series, Sean Combs, The Reckoning, and 50 Cent came in swinging with evidence that no one thought would ever see daylight.
Said Diddy mother might be the originator of the freak-offs. All right, so tomorrow Peacock is dropping. According to the Rolling Stone, the doc features an alleged childhood friend of Puff's, hip-hop producer Tim Dog Patterson. He alleged that Janice, Diddy's mom, would often throw parties at Diddy's childhood home. He says that during the parties, it wasn't uncommon to walk into rooms where adults was having sex. I mean, that was just their normal. And the doc, when talking about the parties, Tim says, verbatim, "That's what we were privy to. This was what we were fed. Was it the sense?"
Somehow he managed to secure private recordings that Diddy filmed himself, footage showing Diddy sitting with his legal team, telling them he needs the dirtiest people around him to handle things for him. Hearing him say that so casually had everyone stunned, because it sounded like a man who already knew exactly what kind of world he was running.
You got to realize that, you know, he didn't get all this from his daddy, because he didn't know his daddy, even though they try to say his daddy was some big-time drug dealer in the whole 9 yards. You understand? He didn't get this from his daddy. You got to realize, man, you know, his mother had a modeling agency, and it was alleged that it was also ladies of the night, a pushing ring too, or these ladies was doing things other than modeling. So the apple don't fall far from the tree. Yeah, so now you gotta understand this, and looking at her and some of the stuff that he was saying, and their relationship has changed since I knew them. since I was around them. You understand? This man was talking about that his mother could take her palms and bend over and put them down on the floor. Not bend over, but she could stand straight up and put her palms on the floor, bruh. He's saying that about his mother. Who describes any of their mother action like that in a sexual way? And then, you know, I don't know how many dudes do kiss their mother in their mouth when they 50, 60 years old or something like that.
But 50 didn't stop at the tapes. He brought in insiders from every corner of Diddy's life, friends, associates, and people who watched his rise up close, all dropping stories and insights nobody expected. Each interview painted a picture of someone whose behavior didn't just come out of nowhere, and 50 pushed the narrative even deeper by taking things all the way back to Diddy's early childhood.
Somebody who will do anything to basically get what he wants. He doesn't really care what effects or damage that causes to other people. And it's in different ways, right? Whether it's in the context of alleged abuse, business disputes, alleged sexual assaults, things that have been alleged in the civil lawsuits against him. And I think with Burroughs, it was really, kind of seemed to strike that theme as well, because he's saying, he had forced me out of the stake of my company. You know, he had to deal with things like homelessness, while in the 2000s and 2010s, Diddy was really prospering, music, business, fashion. And one of the things that he had said, what he alleged in the documentary, and again, this is an allegation from him, was that the name Bad Boy Entertainment, Combs's name was not really involved in that on the corporate side. And one of the things he's saying is the reason for that was to avoid having to pay any liability from, the devastating basketball game that had happened in the early 90s, where he was the subject of wrongful death lawsuits because of the multiple deaths that had occurred as a result of that basketball game that Diddy was behind organizing. So that was really, surprising to hear.
One of Diddy's childhood friends, Tim Patterson, revealed that Diddy's father was deeply involved in drug trafficking in Harlem, and that he passed away when Diddy was still a toddler. That tragedy shaped the entire direction of his life, and people in the doc claim it created a shadow over him that never really went away. After his father passed away, people around the family said Combs' mother, Janice, started hosting constant parties in their home, and those gatherings exposed young Sean to a world he was way too young to understand.
So the backstory is that he didn't appreciate the friendship that was forming between Biggie and Tupac, and therefore, that's where his alleged involvement came in. And then when, in terms of the non-payment, I think that was also a really shocking moment as well, because that's something we saw happening over and over in the documentary. Multiple people who were saying, I was cheated out of my share in the company. I wasn't paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. And allegedly, that's sort of how he treated the artists that were on his label. So again, it's the theme of always wanting to be number one and, not necessarily giving people their due, business sense or personal sense.
Tim Patterson explained that inside Sean's house, you start seeing the same wild scenes you see in big party movies, crowds of adults, loud energy, and a lifestyle that had nothing to do with raising a child. According to Tim, Janice knew exactly how to set up a packed event, and the place would stay busy until late hours. Because of that environment, Sean was pushed into situations long before he ever should have been.
I was at City College. You understand? I was there. I was doing security. My team was supposed to have the outside. Puff came to me the day before we were supposed to do the job there and told me that Heavy D didn't want us to do the security outside. I had 18 men ready to do the security outside with my dogs like I always do. People knew how we used to roll. We would have the pits, the Rockwilders, you understand? We had that outside locked up. So anybody try to bum rush, anybody do that, we had the gates, the whole 9 yards. So we could stop all that. You know how people gonna get down in Harlem. You understand? So, and then when you got LL Cool J, you got Mike Tyson coming through there, and they coming through the front door so people see them. So they gonna go crazy. LL was the hottest thing out at that time. Mike Tyson was the hottest thing out at that time. They got all kinds of stars and people in there already. They was coming through the back. They came through the front. And it caused the door to be bum rushed. But if they had the gates up, if they had the dogs and with the help of the police, that shit would have never happened, bro. That shit would have never happened. I was there, I saw it. I saw Jessica run down the steps after she grabbed the money box because my man Eddie was protecting her. And Eddie's the one called me on the walkie-talkie and said, yo, Jessica just locked me in outside the gym, Gene. You couldn't go down the steps after they bum rushed the door. You understand? I had to run around the whole gym on the outside, around the gym, down the steps, run across the basketball court, and open the front door. When I opened that one door, because it pushed inside, people start squeezing through that. Then I just kept doing the doors, and people was coming in there, falling dead, right out, just falling out right there. And once they got in there, they just fell out. It was crazy, bro.
And Tim hinted that he ended up getting involved in grown-up experiences earlier than the people around him. He didn't give graphic details, but he made it clear that the atmosphere in that house forced Sean to grow up faster than normal, and that kind of exposure can shape a young mind in ways that follow you forever. Tim also pointed out that Diddy's father had been involved in criminal activity, and after he passed, the chaos didn't suddenly stop.
She is bad boy. You think it's Diddy. It's Janice Combs. Janice Combs is bad boy. Man. You don't actually sign to Diddy. His name is on a dotted line, but you actually sign it to Janice Combs.
Did he ever tell you why that is, or do you understand?
Oh, now that I'm older, I know exactly what it is. It's a paper trail, so nothing can come bite me. If you come for me, you ain't coming for me. I ain't got nothing. You going to my mama. Good luck with that.
According to him, Janice stepped into her own version of that world, not the same type of trouble her husband was in, but still a path that kept questionable activity moving around the household. She maintained a lifestyle filled with people and behaviors that left a strong impression on Sean. Tim claims that everything he saw in those parties, the attitude, the choices, the risky behavior, became the model that Sean ended up copying later in life.
But why you believe she knew about the freakos?
Because one of the witnesses said she was there. And do you remember this, bro? Check it out. People tell off on themselves so much, man, and I don't understand when people don't catch it. Diddy has said this. He said, when I give a party, I have to have an ambulance outside of the house. Paramedics ready. That people have to take IVs. Remember the time that him and his mama kissed each other on the lips?
Yeah, I remember that video.
Do you remember that both of them was getting an IV at the same time?
Yeah, I did notice that, yep.
That's from the Diddy freak off party. And I'm gonna say allegedly.
So let me ask you this. You knowing her at one point, you knowing her personally, is she the kind of person that, you know, will be a part of a freak off or no?
I think that she liked to party, and she partied with young people. She's always been like that. She always copied or emulated Little Kim and Mary J. Blige. Or they emulated her. The blonde hair, the nails, the high boots, the age-appropriate, inappropriate clothing.
He said it wasn't just the parties, it was the entire atmosphere Janice created, and that blueprint is what Diddy carried with him as he grew into the man the public knows today. There was an actual stage sitting in the middle of Janice's living room, an elevated platform like something you see in a club, and that's where she made the kids go up and dance while the adults partied around them. It created a strange mix of pressure and chaos, and Tim Patterson said it felt like the whole house was built around entertainment instead of family.
Let me ask you this. I get it. When you have a case that's 5 years old, it's hard to get overwhelming evidence that meets the burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. When you have cases this old, no matter what Fiddy has found out and put in this documentary, do you see it at all ever possible that Diddy could be involved in a murder trial when it comes to Biggie and Tupac?
It could be possible, yes. However, like I said, they need a lot of corroboration to make that stick, because it's really alleged right now as to his involvement. It's not anything that's substantial or concrete that he was involved. It's personally from people talking about it and saying this is what happened. You need some more information to come forward to prove that.
At the same time, he claimed that Janice could be extremely harsh with Sean, especially when she was under the influence, and those moments left deep marks on him. According to people who grew up around Diddy, Janice pushed him to be aggressive, tough, and never back down from anything or anyone. The way they describe it, she taught him to survive by being loud, bold, and ready to fight back, traits that later showed up in almost every part of his personality and career. Some people in the documentary said she didn't just raise him, she shaped him into someone who believed that power came from control and fear, not compassion. Her real influence showed up years later when Diddy began building Bad Boy.
That Puffy did with Fat Joe, where he was talking about Biggie in his last moments in LA, and he told Fat Joe that he didn't want to go to LA, he actually wanted to go to London. But Biggie, he was the one that wanted to go to LA, and he was the one that was pushing to go to LA.
That's not true. My name is Kirk Burrows. I ran Bad Boy Entertainment. I helped co-found it. I created the company with him. I raised from general manager to president. And at that time, I put all of those business plans together. And Biggie didn't want to go to LA, ended up going. What got him out there was a week ahead of time to ease him into the whole award show. He may not have wanted to go to London, but was talked into it. First time ever a rapper of your stature getting this treatment, that would be something he would be interested in doing, but he was easily talked out of it by Sean so that they can make an appearance at an event in LA that Saturday night. A part of the posturing of not only did we come to the award show, not only am I recording my album out here, and Big is gonna help me with some of the writing and maybe do something out here where me and him did this song in LA. I'm out on the town. And it was just too much. You ever heard of someone doing too much?
Instead of putting everything in his own name, he reportedly signed a huge part of his business under Janice because he believed someone might eventually come after his money. He wanted a shield, and he trusted that his mom would be the one person nobody could touch. The documentary also dug into a tragedy that Diddy has avoided talking about for decades, the deaths of 9 people during a stampede back in 1991. On Saturday, December 28th, Diddy hosted a charity celebrity basketball game at City College, but he failed to hire proper security even though thousands of people were expected.
But the motion to dismiss also says that Davis was offered immunity during the Biggie Smalls investigation in the early 2000s. The filing reads, the 3 LAPD and FBI agents were part of a task force to solve the shooting of rapper Notorious B.I.G., also known as Biggie Smalls, legal name Christopher Wallace. The task force, through a sophisticated criminal investigation, obtained sufficient evidence that would prove Mr. Davis was the leader of the Southside Crips and his gang was responsible for over 360 kilos of cocaine and PCP. Mr. Davis provided 3 interviews to obtain immunity from prosecution. The final interview were solely questions regarding the Tupac Shakur in which Mr. Davis was also provided immunity from prosecution. So during a December 2008 interview with investigators, that is when Davis allegedly started to spill the beans about his one-time friend, Sean Combs, who he refers to as Puffy. He claims Sean Puffy Combs solicited Mr. Davis to Suge Knight and Tupac Shakur for $1 million. Eric Zip Martin, an associate of Puffy Combs, provided Mr. Davis with a gun to exact revenge on Tupac Shakur for the beating Mr. Anderson received. Now, Davis reportedly told the investigators that even though the job had been partially completed and Shakur was killed, neither he nor Anderson ever got paid. He later revealed that he believes Combs had paid the go-between Zip Martin, who he claims kept the money for himself. And he said much of the same thing in a 2009 interview a year later, because according to the motion to dismiss, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, as far back as 2009, was in possession of the same set of facts that the Clark County District Attorney is now alleging makes Mr. Davis responsible for the murder of Tupac Shakur. The Clark County District Attorney's Office has offered no reason as to why it waited another 14 years to prosecute a case against Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis has been irreversibly prejudiced by this unnecessary delay in prosecution of this case, and Mr. Davis's constitutional rights have been violated in an extraordinary manner never before witnessed in the annals of the American criminal justice system.
Before the event even kicked off, the crowd surged toward the entrance, creating a deadly stampede that took 9 lives. Multiple people warned Diddy beforehand that the venue wasn't safe, but the documentary claims he didn't take those warnings seriously. Gene Deal, who was present that day, said he told Diddy straight up that the situation was dangerous, but Diddy chose to move forward anyway. According to Gene, the responsibility falls on Diddy because he ignored the risks, and he believes Diddy should answer for the decisions that led to those lives being lost. Diddy might be the public face of Bad Boy, but insiders in the documentary say the real power sits with his mother, Janice. According to the interviews and the footage 50 Cent uncovered, Janice wasn't just helping behind the scenes. She was allegedly one of the main people controlling the money flow and cleaning up the chaos whenever things went wrong. People close to the situation claim Diddy signed important paperwork over to her, not just out of respect, but as a strategic way to protect his assets and keep his own name off anything risky.
Juror 160 that we saw in 50 Cent's Netflix documentary actually gave me off vibes from the very start of Diddy's trial. After her opening her mouth on this Netflix documentary, it confirmed my suspicions that much more. They always say that picking the jury is what could possibly make or break a case. And I think Diddy and his legal team knew that they wanted Juror 160 on this jury. With Diddy's $1 million legal team, he actually hired a jury consultant who is very good at what she does, and what she does is profile the jurors. She looks at everything, their body movements, the way they talk, and she puts it together, picking the people that she believes might be most helpful to Diddy during his trial. One interaction that stood out to me the most during this jury selection process is the fact that Diddy smiled at Juror 160. During the jury selection process, it was reported by multiple different media outlets that Juror 160 said, "I wish I knew the names of the celebrities that were on the list that were going to be brought up during Diddy's trial." And it was reported that when she said that, Diddy smiled. And Diddy most likely smiled about this because she said she wished she knew these celebrities that were being named. That shows that she's pretty much kind of fangirling over celebrities. She wished she knew them, which a lot of people, even myself, feel like this is the vibe that she gave off during her interview on the Netflix documentary. It really threw me for a loop when she brought up the fact that she didn't believe that Diddy was actually nodding at the jury. She just thinks it was a nod that he would normally do because she watched Diddy on Making the...
What shocked viewers even more was hearing how, after Diddy's father passed away, Janice began telling young Sean that he was suddenly the man of the house and putting a heavy role on him before he was even old enough to process what that meant. Some of Diddy's childhood friends said this dynamic created a bond between them that did not look like a normal mother-son relationship, and it made people around them uncomfortable even back then. Gene Deal, who worked closely with Diddy for years, said he always suspected there was something unusual about how the two interacted. He didn't accuse them of anything graphic, but he made it clear he felt their relationship went beyond the typical closeness families have, especially considering the environment they were surrounded by. Gene also explained that Janice wasn't clueless about the adult parties Diddy became known for. She was present at many of them. He said he personally saw her at those gatherings and noticed the way Diddy acted around her, describing it as behavior.
The series also features 2 jurors from Combs' trial who are speaking for the first time about how they reached their mixed verdict, finding Combs guilty of 2 prostitution offenses, but clear of racketeering and sex trafficking charges, both sharing their thoughts on the relationship between Combs and singer Cassie. Juror 75 describing them as 2 people in love, and Juror 160 saying in part, domestic violence wasn't one of the charges. Cassie, is she a victim in all this?
I believe Cassie's a victim in all this because she came in as she's like 18, like 19 years old in the very beginning. After a while, over time, you condition for it.
The goal of what the film is trying to do is to let the audience kind of come in to ask questions like, were their decisions colored by certain things, and who got the benefit of the doubt, in that courtroom?
Do you think that hip-hop culture was on trial as much as Sean Combs was?
Look, if I didn't say anything, you would interpret it as the hip-hop is fine with his behaviors. There's no one else being vocal. So you would look at it and just say, because that mind your business, or let me not say nothing about nothing, or those things, it would allow the entire culture to register as if they're for that behavior.
If Sean Combs watches this, what do you think he's going to feel?
Like, wow, this is amazing. I think he's going to say this is the best documentary I've seen in a long time. Because you'll see people saying that. I mean, he may feel a different way about pieces and bits of it, but he knows the truth. I think he'll see the truth in it.
That made people in the room question what was really going on. According to him, Janice wasn't just observing the lifestyle, she understood exactly what Sean was getting into and still allowed herself to be part of his world. Janice was reportedly the one who taught Diddy many of the behaviors he later became known for, and the documentary didn't shy away from showing how deep her influence ran. But things took an even darker turn when the series shifted into one of the biggest and most extreme accusations tied to Diddy, claims connecting him to the deaths of Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls, two legends in hip-hop whose cases still spark debate decades later. The documentary interviewed detectives who actually worked on Tupac's case back in the 90s, and they claimed that evidence strongly suggested Diddy had some type of involvement. According to them, the problem wasn't the lack of leads, it was the fact that almost everyone around Diddy was too scared to speak up, so the case never reached the point where prosecutors could move forward. They painted a picture of a powerful figure surrounded by people who feared the consequences of telling the truth. After Tupac passed, the documentary says Diddy pressured Biggie to travel to Los Angeles, even though Biggie was originally scheduled to go to London and reportedly wasn't comfortable with going to LA at that moment. People close to Biggie said he felt something bad might happen if he went there, but Diddy insisted, pushing him into a situation he didn't want to be in. Then when Biggie arrived, Diddy allegedly pressured him again, this time forcing him to stay longer and attend a party that Biggie didn't feel safe going to. That same night, Biggie was shot and killed, and after Biggie's passing, Diddy rose to become the face of hip-hop and one of the most powerful music executives in the country, gaining levels of influence he never had before. The documentary also pointed to one person who could seriously implicate Diddy, Keith D, whose full name is Dwayne Keith D. Davis, is a former member of the Southside Compton Crips and was charged in connection with Tupac's 1996 shooting. Last year, he filed court papers in Nevada claiming that Diddy was the one truly responsible for Tupac's death. These allegations shook the entire hip-hop community again.
It's not surprising that Sean Combs and his team are not happy about this, okay? Which now we go back to the C&D letter, the cease and desist letter that Combs' lawyers sent to Netflix's chief legal officer. That's what I want to focus on now. Okay, so according to attorney Michael Tremonti, they had already sent a cease and desist letter to the streaming service in July of 2024. This is before Combs was even indicted. But now they send this new letter on December 1st, the day before the documentary was set to be released, and essentially calling it a hit piece. Quote, "First, Netflix's promotion of the program as a documentary is fundamentally misleading. In truth, the program is a hit piece. It was conceived and produced by Curtis James Jackson, aka 50 Cent, whose irrational fixation on destroying Mr. Combs' reputation is a matter of public record. The evidence of Mr. Jackson's vicious animus against Mr. Combs is overwhelming. He has been trolling Mr. Combs on the internet and social media for years and has made a career of attempting to defame, belittle, and provoke Mr. Combs and turn the public against him. We provided ample evidence of Mr. Jackson's avowed hatred of Mr. Combs in our prior cease and desist letter dated July 3rd, 2024, and since that time, Mr. Jackson's determination to take down Mr. Combs has increased dramatically. Simply put, there is no one less able to view any aspect of Mr. Combs' life and legacy through a fair and objective lens. Given Mr. Jackson's central role in the project and his declared objective of disgracing Mr. Combs, Netflix cannot honestly market the program as a documentary, as that term falsely suggests it is based on facts. Instead, the program is based on fabrications born from Mr. Jackson's personal vendetta against Mr. Combs. For this reason alone, Netflix must withdraw the program. Now, to be clear, recently, 50 Cent, who's been doing a media tour for this, has said, I don't have any hatred against Sean Combs. I've actually worked with and employed his sons. And so he tried to beat back against that narrative. Now, according to Tremonti, Netflix had actually been in talks with Combs to make a show about him before the sudden cratering of his career. Quote, in or about 2023, CEO Ted Sarandos proposed that Netflix produce a documentary about Mr. Combs. However, Mr. Combs rejected the proposal when Mr. Sarandos insisted he give up creative control. Thus, the choice of Mr. Jackson to produce the program was Netflix's vindictive response to that rejection, an attempt by Netflix and Mr. Sarandos to ensure a one-sided character assassination rather than a balanced and accurate portrayal.
And the documentary suggested that if anyone has the information to expose what really happened, it's Keith D. Keith D claimed that Diddy paid him to target his rivals. According to Keith, Diddy allegedly offered him $1 million in exchange for taking out Suge Knight and Tupac, but after everything went down, that money never showed up. Keith said he was left hanging, and that betrayal is one of the reasons he eventually started talking about what really happened. Netflix even tracked down jurors connected to the related court cases, and what they revealed was unbelievable. Some of these jurors were the exact reason Diddy walked away without facing the consequences he should have faced. One juror was reportedly a huge Diddy fan, to the point where people questioned how she even ended up on the case. Insiders said it was almost impossible for her not to be overwhelmed by Diddy's presence, and that kind of bias should have never been allowed in a courtroom. Kirk Burroughs, the co-founder of Bad Boy, backed up these concerns. He said the jurors acted like they were mesmerized by Diddy and Cassie, describing the two of them as if they were some perfect romantic pair. Imagine being so starstruck that you completely overlook a woman's pain. Cassie testified while she was pregnant, and the fact that she still had to sit there and explain what she went through says everything. There was even video footage showing Diddy putting his hands on her, and somehow the jurors didn't react. They ignored what was right in front of them because they were too caught up in the celebrity of it all. Now Diddy is preparing to sue 50 Cent and Netflix over the documentary. He's scrambling to regain control, but after all this information has come out, the public is watching every move he makes. He's now doing everything in his power to get the documentary erased from existence, but the damage is already done. What makes this whole situation even wilder is how 50 Cent ended up with the footage in the first place. Diddy didn't pay his videographer. That one moment of being cheap opened the door for 50 to grab tapes that were never meant to see daylight, and if Diddy had simply paid his team on time, none of this would have been exposed. Diddy's legal squad rushed to send a cease and desist letter to Netflix, scrambling to stop the documentary from reaching even more people. But this series isn't just shining a light on a celebrity gone wrong, it's pulling apart the roots of an entire legacy built on secrets, manipulation, and a family history darker than anyone ever imagined. Every new detail makes the picture clearer, and each revelation pushes us close to finally understanding who Sean Combs truly is behind the fame. This story is nowhere near finished, and the more that comes out, the harder it becomes for Diddy to hide from the truth. So what do you think? Is the mask slipping for good, or is this just the beginning of a much bigger downfall? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit like, subscribe, share with someone who needs to see this, and I'll see you on the next one.